1, 2, testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
So how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.
Hear about these motherfuckers. It's time to go. All I want to do is fucking eat.
We're not practicing to beat somebody. We're practicing to beat everybody.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for 4 quarters. They got to see us in our house for 4 quarters. They got to look us in the eye for 4. This is about us and our family and our house. This is about us. This is our mentality. We ain't backing down. We ain't running. Set a tone, send a message. This is our house. Physical toughness wins in football now. And if you in this room, you got it. And if you come in here, you better believe in it. Because this physical toughness, it's what makes the difference. Elite focus. That's all I'm doing. The guy across from me, I'm fixing to whip his ass. Not in my box, not today. It's about us. It's about our family. We attack. You take that helmet and you strike them. And you strike them and you strike them. That's how you get respect.
I am going to pick shit out of them. Physically, I want to break them.
All right, everybody, welcome back in here. We are here for another week. Going to make sure. There we are. There you are. There you are. How y'all doing this evening? I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us tonight. We had a little bit. I don't know if you guys had some storms in your area last night, but we certainly had some. And actually knocked me off air because I was on a podcast with someone else. And so what are you going to do? Technology and live happens live. So here we are. We're settled in. I'm glad to see that we've got people in the comments already. That's fantastic. Thank you all for being here. Man, do we have a lot to get to this week. When I was looking at it over the weekend, I knew the 4th was coming up. I was like, this might be a light week for the show. I was wrong. I was wrong. Because as I went back and looked at everything that I had going on, like over on the YouTube page and the various channels, I realized I've got a lot to say this week. And I hope somebody's going to show up and listen. And then, lo and behold, the recruiting machine that is the University of Georgia just keeps on rolling. So we're going to touch on all those things tonight. let's just take a quick look here, see who's in the chat with us. I see Dogs is in here tonight. He says, take your time, man. I appreciate you hanging in here with me. Like I said, live happens live. Joe Sisson's in the room with us tonight. Welcome in, Joseph. Harry Legs back. I appreciate your support, man. Thanks for being here. Junkyard Dog is in the room. So we are just going to get on to it because it's one of those things. I see Harry's already talking about the recruits. We're going to get there, Harry. I promise. No worries. This is one of those things. I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, where exactly is Brock Bowers getting the praise that he needs? Right? We know what Brock Bowers is, but I was like, do we actually know what he is? So I spent last week researching what Mr. Bowers has done at the University of Georgia through 2 seasons, and I put out a video. I hope you've seen it. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm going to show you a little quick teaser here of it, and you can certainly check it out because
Brock
we go
Bowers.
through.
How's this for a career so far? 2021 SEC Freshman of the Year, 2-time All-SEC First Team, 2-time AP All-America, John Mackey Award winner in 2022, back-to-back and reigning college football national champion. That
Right, we're going to talk a lot about what it is that I had to say in this video. But there
seasons
was
at Georgia.
one
Brock Bowers is already
this video that I really wanted you to see, and it's this video right here. This
Brock
video.
Bowers is the definition of a damn beast. Just check out these numbers.
We'll get there, Randy. So here's the thing about that video. I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. I mean, I tried to post it on a couple of different places. When I saw that play live, like, you know, think about what happened that week. That was the UAB week. So that ties into 2023 in a lot of ways because that was the game that the coaching staff thought they were going to go with Carson Beck. And at the last minute, as far as we knew, they made the decision to go with Stetson. And obviously that changed the trajectory of Georgia football for the next 2 years, the choice to go with Stetson Bennett that day. And if you follow the pages, you know that I touched on Carson and how he felt about what happened that week. We had some audio of him talking about how he was really hurt at the time, but in the long run, he believes that the decision that was made that day, in retrospect, he wasn't ready, and that the decision that was made that day has put him in position to be ready to go this year because he knew he just had to put his head down and go to work. So that game was eventful for a lot of reasons. But when I saw that play live, when I saw Bowers make that catch and take off down the sideline there and show us his speed, immediately I thought about this play of Herschel against South Carolina. Now, of course, when this video went up on TikTok and everywhere else, there were people who were talking about how can you possibly compare Brock Bowers to Herschel Walker. That is a discussion that is nuanced in a way. I never said that Brock Bowers is a better athlete than Herschel Walker. I never said that today Brock Bowers is the greatest of all time at the University of Georgia. But in that video, I go through and lay out what's in front of Brock, what he's already done. And I ask the question, at the end of the day, where does that put Brock? So we're going to look at that a little bit tonight. We're sort of going to rehash that video. But I couldn't get past it. The minute I saw him streaking down the sideline and the way those players dove at him, I did my best to edit that together in a way that, you know, would kind of make you smile, and I hope you enjoyed that video. So again, if you haven't seen it, go check that out and let us know what you think about it because I appreciate that. Harry says, good video. I appreciate that. Max is in the room. Welcome in, Max. So yeah, let's take a look at what Brock Bowers has meant to the University of Georgia so far. Again, it may seem like he's been a fixture in Georgia football, but he's really only been there for 2 years. So if we look back at what he's done so far, Brock Bowers was the 2021 SEC Freshman of the Year. Looking at it now, he is a 2-time All-SEC first-team selection. He is a 2-time AP All-American. He is the John Mackey Award winner for 2022. And he is the back-to-back and reigning national championship team starting tight end at the University of Georgia. just to say those things out loud is one hell of a resume. But when you think about the fact that he still has another season to go and what could happen for Brock and for Georgia, you really have to pause and look at what that means historically across college football and what it means at the University of Georgia. So Brock is the first tight end to lead a national champion in receiving since Keith Jackson did it in 1985 at the University of Oklahoma, to lead a national champion in receiving. In the modern era, of course, we're going to think about the high-flying, four-wide, throw the ball down the field to a wide receiver sort of offenses. But, 1985, it's almost 2025. That's almost 40 years ago. You had a tight end play that kind of role on a national championship team. That's not a small thing. That's a huge difference in time. And to think that the game evolved away from the tight end and has now, in large part, I would argue, over the last 2 seasons, because of Brock Bowers, migrated its way back to where you see tight ends being more of a focal point in college football. So just a quick look at his numbers. In 2022 alone, Brock Bowers had 63 receptions for 942 yards, damn near 1,000 yards last season, and 7 receiving touchdowns. In the last game of the year against TCU, he caught 10 balls for 152 yards, a touchdown, and was just doing work without the football, blocking people, getting out on the edge after other receivers made catches. Extremely impressive. And I just want us all to pause for a second and just fully appreciate it. Because, can you imagine a scenario where he chooses to come back for a 4th year? I can't. Why would you? I just can't see it. So we've got him for 1 more year, guaranteed. I'm just saying, let's enjoy it. Over 30 games, over 2 seasons, the Dogs are 29-1 with Bowers as the starting tight end. 119 receptions, 1,824 yards, 20 receiving touchdowns. Oh, did I mention he's carried the ball 13 times for another 165 yards and 4 scores? Yeah. You can put Brock anywhere. If you go back and watch the video I posted last week, you'll see I broke it out statistically where he lines up. I don't want to say he's a positionless player. He is a fantastic tight end. I don't want to take that away from him. But literally, you can put him anywhere and get a mismatch. There aren't many players in college football that you can say that about. And tonight I'm beating that drum that Brock Bowers is probably the best college football player in the nation for 2023. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. But it doesn't mean that he shouldn't. There are other tremendous players. Caleb Williams, tremendous player. Really. There are others. Michigan has a couple. Corum is one. We all know about Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State. There's a quarterback at UNC. There are players. But you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that there's a better college football player in the nation in 2023 than Brock Bowers. Emmett chimes in with a comment here and says if he has another year remotely like he's had, he will go down as the best tight end in UGA history and possibly be in talks for the top 10 tight ends in college football history. Yeah, I'm biased, but stats don't lie. You're absolutely right, Emmett. And that's the thing. I was noticing when I was reviewing people's best of lists for tight ends in college football history that there's actually a very wild swing in who's being considered in that top 5. Some lists would have someone like Mike Ditka in that top 5, even at number 1. Other lists wouldn't include him at all. Tony Gonzalez is another person who had a tremendous NFL career, was a great collegiate tight end, but was in people's list, he would fall outside the top 5. I saw another list where he was inside the top 5. So it varies wildly. Like, what is it that you're going to value? Is it statistics? Is it championships? Is it the whole package? It's just one of those things where, I don't know, I guess you get to decide what your metrics are. But I've laid out what I think my metrics are. I think you start with the statistics. You start with the position he lines up in. You see how he's utilized in the offense. You see what he means to his program. Is there anyone in the country that has meant more to their program over the last 2 years than Brock has to the University of Georgia? I mean, you can argue that. Blake Corum at Michigan would be an argument. I don't know. You guys throw it out there to me. Caleb Williams, maybe. I mean, he did make a difference at Oklahoma and at USC. And I see Worm chiming in here in the comments saying that, you know, Caleb Williams, he's never been a fan. How do you lose to Tulane? Yeah, that was crazy. I don't care. I see he mentioned here Caleb isn't going to like that statement. You know, I don't care. You know that. Send it to him. See what he says. I just because I'm not a big fan of Caleb doesn't mean that I can't appreciate his talent level. So I absolutely believe that Caleb Williams is a tremendously talented player. He is a fantastic quarterback for the system that he is in. So I still would make an argument that Bowers might be the best player in the nation in 2023. Of course, we'll see. They're going to do it on the field. We have new people popping in here. John Dadamo's saying hello. Welcome in, John. It's good to see you, friend. Joe's chiming in. Penix at Washington. Absolutely. He's meant a lot to what they're doing out there. There's no doubt about that. Oh, I see Joseph's letting us know about a money-raising event. Hey, you know what? Here, just on a side note, and I'll get back to Brock, I promise. But I saw something this week, and we can blame Joseph for getting me off on this tangent. I saw a thing this week that people were saying that as many ducks as the collective has in a row here in Athens, the Classic City Collective, they do a wonderful job, especially in the way that they approach all of the student athletes and getting everyone involved and making sure that people have appropriate opportunities based on what they've achieved. The thing about the collective, though, is that word's getting out that some of the biggest influx of money has come from a handful of donors. Now, I don't know that that's exactly unique. It's probably that way across most of the country. But they were saying that they were hoping that there would be more support for the collective and the businesses that are in the collective to help drive those funds. So this is not an NIL live stream, but it is very interesting to me to see how those things are going to come together. And I know that if I have an opportunity to support the collective through a purchase of, I know Jittery Joe's, for example, is a member of the collective. So if I have an opportunity to buy a cup of coffee from Jittery Joe's, I'll do that. And it's little things like that that help you support the team. So it's one of those things that if you haven't given it any consideration and you're not a direct donor to the university, the collective is a good way to help support all of the athletic programs at the University of Georgia. So just a little PSA there in case you hadn't thought about it. John saying that Caleb Williams is going to be considered one of the best quarterbacks in college football ever, I think. Ever? I don't know. Again, I guess it goes back to how you want to argue that. I guess if you want to say he wins 2 Heismans, well, obviously that puts you in the consideration. But have they ever won anything under Caleb? Not yet. Oklahoma hasn't. USC hasn't. So if he wins on the field, then maybe. Personally, I don't see it. And Emmett makes a good point here. He had 2 shots to beat Utah. Didn't get it done. And, his defense didn't help him. Injuries are a part of the game, though. It's not an excuse. It's part of the game. So, and I do appreciate the fact that he gutted it out and tried to play first team. Absolutely, I do. And Max brings us back to the point here, and I'm going to get right back to it. I feel like there have been players like Caleb and such, but I have a hard time thinking of any other players at the position comparable to Bowers. Exactly. When you think of tight ends over the last 2 decades, 3 decades, again, I just mentioned 1985 with Keith Jackson at Oklahoma. There are really high-quality tight ends across the country. That's not the point. The point is, how have they impacted their team? How have they lifted them in a way that, say, a quarterback may, or that a dominant running back may? There aren't any. I can't think of one that's had the impact of Brock Bowers from the tight end position in line. I would love for you to drop it in the chat if you can think of it. I can't think of one. I think Max hit it right on the head right here because, and I'm going to leave this one up here for a minute to let you think on it, because I can't think. Michael Mayer at Notre Dame? Nope. Who else? Who am I forgetting? Well, a couple of the top 2 tight ends, like the Mackey Award winner from the year before last, played at a smaller school, had a great career, didn't elevate his team like this. I think in that regard, Bowers is absolutely on his own. And I think that's part of what makes him special. So let's get back to reviewing what it is he's done. Brock is the only tight end over the last 53 seasons to have 20 receiving touchdowns in his first 2 seasons as a college football player. There you go. That's 5 decades. No other tight end has had the production that Brock has had. Nobody. No pass catcher in Georgia history has more receptions, yards, or touchdown receptions than Brock Bowers through 2 seasons at the University of Georgia. Terrence Edwards, Fred Gibson, George Pickens, Dominic Blaylock. No. So regardless of where they're lining him up, they're getting him the ball. I think the number, if I'm recalling this correctly, that I quoted in my video, Brock has exactly 5 classified drops out of 153 targets, I believe it was. 5 from the tight end position. Hell of a blocker. Goal line stalker. Brock Bowers, y'all. Brock Bowers. Hines Ward, right. Remember, Hines was splitting time because he was such a tremendous athlete. He played quarterback. He played running back. I'm sure that had something to do with why Hines didn't have enough catches. A little side note. I was a coworker with Hines. Hines was my coworker for, 3 years, maybe. So Hines is a good dude. I really enjoyed hanging out with him. That's right. Mayhem has it right. He has it exactly.
So how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I appreciate you guys being here with me. For a little national perspective, I think Brock needs something in the neighborhood of 1,300 yards this season, 10 touchdowns, and he will become the new number 1 for the best singular season in college football FBS history. 1,300 yards and change and 10 touchdowns would do the trick. I don't know. Do we think Brock can get that many balls his way this year? I don't think so. I think with the depth and talent that Georgia has accumulated for that wide receiver room and the fact that they want to be balanced and spread the ball around, I don't think that they're going to treat Brock Bowers like A.J. Green and try to force the ball to him. If they do, I think that would be a mistake. And given that that's how I view it, I don't think Brock gets those single season numbers. Now, with that said, he needs 1,273 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns this season to become Georgia's record holder in both categories. So he could have a tremendous year, set new Georgia records, and still not achieve that national note. But there are some very, very lofty things right there for Brock. again, I think that we've seen enough from Bowers to know that he would rather get the W than worry about his individual statistics. Pair that with what I just said about how I don't think they're going to do the A.J. Green force the football to him thing. And I don't think Bowers is going to reach those lofty goals that are in front of him. That doesn't mean that he can't have a phenomenal season, get to 1,000 yards, help Georgia win the conference, and get back into the college football playoff. I'm just saying, appreciate the man. Appreciate 19 while he's here in Athens between the hedges. It will be a minute before we see somebody who has the kind of impact that Brock Bowers has had for the University of Georgia. And I do want to just kind of put this out there. I want to say this in a grouping so that you can hear it and just let it roll over you. Here's what could be for Brock in 2023. Bowers could be a back-to-back Mackey Award winner. He could become a 3-time first-team All-SEC player. A 3-time first-team AP All-American. No, I'm sorry, not first team. A 3-time AP All-American. It would be a second first-team mention. 3-time college football playoff national champion. School record holder in receiving yards and touchdowns. It's not out of the question that Bowers could get an invite to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremonies. And if we let ourselves dream the crazy dreams, he could win the Heisman Trophy. If he played out of his mind and reached those benchmarks that I mentioned earlier as far as statistics are concerned, you would have a hard time convincing me he didn't deserve the Heisman Trophy if Georgia wins the conference, gets back to the playoff. I mean, I didn't list this anywhere else, but let's think about it. Let's just say, again, I'm never going to assume that Georgia's going to go 12-0 through the regular season. I respect the game too much for that. But if you'll grant me this, and let's just say that they do, that would be 41-1 through 3 seasons as a starter at the University of Georgia for Brock Bowers. 41-1. I'm just saying, y'all. Appreciate the man. So let's dive back into the comments here. Matthew. Mayhem Matthews letting us know that they have the deepest wide receiving room since I've been alive. So here's the thing, Matthew. I heard someone make the statement the other day that, and this is going to be blasphemy, maybe even for John, who's a Michigan fan, who's in the comments here with us. I heard someone make the statement that outside of Ohio State, Georgia may have the best group of receivers in the country, top to bottom. What do y'all think about that? That's a beefy statement. That's a beefy statement. So I don't know. I mean, you're onto something there, Matt. They're going to be talented, that's for sure. And Harry's right on it too. Death by 1,000 cuts. You never know where the ball's going to go. You don't recruit all these great players not to give them the football. So I agree with that completely. I agree with that completely. My man Joseph Sisson says, people underestimate now how he's used blocking and as a distraction. When he's on the field, the defense has to respect him and show focus. Absolutely. Which brings us back to, you cannot cover them all. That's the main reason that offense last season led the nation in explosive plays. Bowers breaks that dig route over the middle. He runs that skinny post, draws that safety over. Then you have Arian Smith over the top, right? You have Rosemy Jack Saint on that 9 route, or you have Lad McConkey on that 9 route. Complementary football, friends. That's what it's about. I see Matthews mentioning Lawson Lucky here. Lawson is going to be a player, and he's going to be a contributor this season. I have no doubt about that. That offense, especially that tight end room, is just insanely deep. And they are going to keep trying to go get those dudes. No doubt about that. So I see Emmett and Max still dropping comments here. Lucky and Delp. We haven't even talked about Oscar Delp. Oscar Delp has a skill set very much like Brock Bowers. He's not quite as big, same as Lucky. He's not quite as big as Lucky. But if you think Oscar Delp is not going to do some work, flexed out in the slot this week, lined up in the H-back, holy cow. Oscar Delp, everybody. Get to know that name. Get to know that name if you don't. Because he's coming, as Dion likes to say. So that's my thoughts on Brock Bowers. I don't know. And here's the part that really sent people over the edge. I haven't said this yet. I said it in the video. But I haven't made a definitive statement about it all. But if Brock does everything that I've listed here, if Georgia achieves at the level we all hope that they will, at the end of the day, given the importance of his role at the position, given the team success around it, given the individual success, I think the argument absolutely can be made that Brock Bowers would not only become the greatest wide receiver in the history of the university, not wide receiver, the greatest receiver in the history of the University of Georgia. He could very well become the greatest tight end in the history of college football and the greatest dog of all time. I know, blasphemy. But I just think that as great as Herschel was as an individual player, when you factor in the total number of championships won, impact on the position, impact on the team, the era in which we play, all of those things, I think that's an argument that can absolutely be made, and you can stand on solid ground and make it. We don't have to agree, but I'm saying it is not crazy. It is not crazy. So Harry's chiming in and says the Dogs can stress any defense they face provided Beck is who we think he is. I agree wholeheartedly, and I absolutely feel fantastic about Carson Beck. I'm just going to be real with you. I think that dude is going to have a tremendous season. If he simply distributes the ball, doesn't turn it over, we have to see that. But if he doesn't do those things and he does distribute the ball, use the weapons around him, make good decisions, it's hard to see how he doesn't get to 4,000 yards. 4,000 yards and 20-plus touchdowns, maybe 30. I'd probably edge closer to 20 simply because we don't know who the receiving threat might be out of the backfield just yet. But 4,000 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, let's say he's throwing for 65%. Take those numbers today and tell me where you think Georgia is at the end of the year. Impressive, I think. I think that means good things for the Georgia Bulldogs. So if we move on just a little bit, that's Brock Bowers. Enjoy the man while he's here. He's not going to be here for one more year. Let's soak it in and enjoy it. Brock Bowers, everybody. That's what I'll say about that. Best of luck to him. Best of luck to the Dogs. I hope he stays healthy and we can see him for all that he really is. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him. So before we move on to my next topic, I did want to remind you guys that I posted this on the community wall, but I sat in with Michael from the Air Raid Attack podcast yesterday. And if you haven't had a chance, go back and check out that video because I spent, it was over an hour and a half. And we were talking about the Dogs, the Sooners, the Longhorns, and previewed the 2023 season. So some of those things I said over there, I haven't said over here yet, at least not in one place, in one video. So if you want to know my thoughts on the Dogs heading into 23, what I think about the Sooners and the Longhorns and what it means for them coming into the SEC in 2024, go check out that video. And if you're just interested in learning more about one of our new league brethren beginning in 2024, the Air Raid Attack podcast is run by an Oklahoma fan. So he's going to have a lot of Oklahoma content over there. So if you're interested in any of that, go check it out. Or if you're just interested in my thoughts on any of those subjects, I hope you'll give it a listen as well. I had a good time, and I was made to feel very welcome. So check him out if you will. And while you're here, I want to remind you, I know many of you know about all this because you're already subscribed to the channel. I appreciate that more than you know. It's like I said last week, I don't expect you to like what I'm doing here. If I earn your like, I wish you would drop a thumbs up here on the stream or on my other videos. Share it out to your friends. Let them know what's up. I don't think I get that just by you showing up. I think it's on me to earn that. So if I do that, please do me a favor. Check and make sure that you've ticked that subscription box and make sure you don't miss anything we're doing going forward. So I always want to say, please like and share it if you think I've earned it. If not, that's okay. I'll try again next time. And if you have any question about anything going on with a Damn Beast Media, a Damn Beast over on any of our other platforms, or ways that you might want to support the channel, please look in the description down below this video and you can see everything you want to see there. So that was my bit for last week. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that podcast because Michael was a good dude and I appreciated him having me on. But now let's turn our attention and let's look ahead to what happened in the last 5 days at the University of Georgia. Coming into this recruiting season, one of the areas that had to be focused on was the offensive line, simply because there could be some serious attrition from the O-line in Georgia's offense after this season, both through just people running out of eligibility. You know the transfer portal is a thing. People are going to move around. There's no doubt about it. And there could just flat out be dudes good enough to be drafted off of this team. So they could lose up to 4 starters off of this offensive line heading into 2024. So if that's the case, you got to replace those bodies. Now, there are some big bodies and some talented dudes already on campus in Athens, but got to restock that cupboard. And the Dogs have been at it this week. In the last 5 days, Stacey Searles has added some major pieces to that great wall of Georgia that he's trying to build. Now, think back to when Kirby was brought to Athens originally. At his opening press conference, Kirby said, we have to get bigger along the offensive and defensive lines if we're going to compete for the type of accolades that we want to compete for. He was absolutely right, and you've seen that from the very beginning of his recruiting classes. So let's look at what he's done in the last couple of days. Just today, the big news, the biggest news, probably, along the offensive line for the Dogs this cycle is that Daniel Calhoun has committed to play for the University of Georgia. Now, Calhoun is 6'6", 355, 6'6", 355 from Walton here in Georgia. Now, it's not exactly Gwinnett County level of play out there, but Walton is close. I mean, that's a good program over there. And this young man has been around the Georgia program for a long time. This was a battle between Auburn, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, and our Dogs. And the top offensive lineman in the state of Georgia for the class of 2024 and a top national prospect decided to give his commitment to the University of Georgia and Stacey Searles. So I'm scrolling back up here so I can find this comment from Harry. There it is. There he goes. Walton's Daniel Calhoun, 6'5", 335. They're probably going to give him a shot at tackle to begin. We'll see if he bumps down inside. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to have to hit these comments. These are great. So Daniel Calhoun, huge news, literally massive news for the University of Georgia today with the commitment of Daniel Calhoun. Now, just 4 days ago, another big ugly committed to the Dogs. Calhoun comes on the heels of the Michael Uni commitment. Michael was a 4-star offensive lineman out of Texas. A head-to-head battle with the Longhorns. He liked what Searles and the Dogs were offering. Another massive body, 6'7", 335. Not only is Kirby Smart and Stacey Searles, not only are they tremendous football coaches, they've put on the lab coat. They are professors. They are out here teaching the college football world about the physics, the science of the game. If you've got dudes that are large human beings, if my dudes are bigger than your dudes, I believe my dudes can move your dudes. Basic physics. We saw it against TCU. That's what they want, are these massive human beings, these individuals. They know they can develop them, train them up, and get them on the field to provide quality depth. In 2024, that line is going to be young, but massive and massively talented. So I'm not in the business of projecting what they're going to look like in 2024 just yet, but I'm just saying these pieces are beautiful, okay? Because even if you win as a defensive lineman, I mean, gosh, the number escapes me right now. Calhoun's wingspan, if we just focus on that for a second, it's something like 8 feet across. Even if you win with technique, you still have to run around this massive human being to go get pressure on the quarterback. I'm just saying, people, this is not me that you're looking at out there, okay? These are 1% humans. There just aren't that many that are this large and this athletic. Go watch the film on Calhoun and Uni if you haven't. The thing about Uni out of Texas, not only was that a big deal for going into Texas and getting a top flight, top 150 prospect, he chose Georgia over Michigan and Alabama, okay? So we're not just taking whoever here. They're going to get the guys that they want. Michael Uni is a military family kind of dude. He knows about hard work. He knows about commitment. And he knows that the University of Georgia is where he wants to be. Daniel Calhoun, same thing. All he wants to do is compete. He will go anywhere to compete, and he will take on the very best competition he can find in the camps and things like that. He's about the work. These young people seem to have the right mental approach to the game. They know what it takes to play at Georgia, and they are bought in. And it's a beautiful thing to see, and we're not done yet. Before we move on, I just mentioned Calhoun and Uni, okay? Don't forget, they already had commitments from Malachi Tolliver, 6'5", 320. 6'5", 320. He's the runt of the litter. And Marcus Harrison, 6'8", 340. We know what Scott Sinclair is in that development, in that weight room, and what he does with dudes and helping them transform their bodies. We know the investments that Kirby has made in nutrition and individualized dietary plans for every athlete based on their goals. Y'all, none of this is bad weight. Go watch the film on Calhoun. He rang up 355. I think he measured in at 365 in Athens on his official visit. He's like, that's because everybody's feeding me steaks everywhere I go. Calhoun can easily drop 15, 20 pounds. He's already athlete enough to pull around from the tackle position and lead on the counters. He's already athletic enough to get out and run on the screen game. Let him drop 20 pounds. Let's see just how much he looks like a Broderick Jones in 2 seasons. Friends, these are some good players. That Great Wall of Georgia is looking mighty stout. So we've got Calhoun, Uni, Tolliver, and Harrison at a position of great need for the University of Georgia in this recruiting class. In the coming days, the Dogs are favored. You don't know because the kids still have to commit. The Dogs are favored to land the number 2 player in New Jersey and Nair Daniels, 6'8", 370. 6'8", 370. The biggest of them all. That's a Penn State, Florida State, Georgia battle. Rutgers is in there too. Nod to the home state. And they also seem to be favored to land the commitment of the number 5 player in Illinois, Marquise Easley. 6'5", 345. That's Tennessee, Alabama, Oklahoma that the Dogs are competing with there. These commitments are coming. They're literally days away. The Dogs lead for both of these dudes, reportedly. Look at the 6 athletes that could be lining up at the University of Georgia along the offensive line in the next couple of years if these dudes commit and stick. There's no reason to think that they won't. That is an impressive group. This isn't a recruiting show, and I'm going to jump back into these comments here and go through these with you guys because I value you being here. Thank you so much for that. But before I move on completely, I do want to say that tomorrow, the number 44 overall player in the country, the number 8 defensive lineman in the country, Joseph Jonah Ajonye, man, that's a mouthful. I'm proud of myself, is going to commit. Everybody thinks that the Dogs are way out in front here. We'll see. He was going to commit on the 12th. He moved that up to the 6th. He's like, I'm done. I'm ready to do this. That would be another massive get for Trey Scott, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, Glenn Schumann along that defensive front. Recruiting is rocking for the Dogs right now. They could end up signing as many as 34, maybe 35 in this class. And there's a lot of meat left on that bone, y'all. So I know recruiting may not be a big deal to everybody, but it is the lifeblood of a program. And the Georgia Bulldogs are crushing it right now. So let's jump back in here and look at these comments for a minute, because at this point, we can talk about virtually anything you guys want to. So if you have a specific comment, please drop it in here, and let's get on it, because I'm more than willing to talk about it with you. So Emmett says, Beck has been sitting behind a legend at QB, and I guarantee he'll be a lot more polished. Emmett, the thing is, I think you and I know that, and I think a lot of Bulldogs that have been paying attention know that. I think the rest of the country doesn't know that. I know for a fact that my Big Ten friends are asking me, what about Beck? What do you hear? What do you see? And I keep telling them everything looks really good. Even with that, I don't think they have a full understanding of what we see. I agree with you 100%. I think that Beck is going to be everything he needs to be for the University of Georgia this fall. Harry's chiming in. Has all the tools, simply needs the ball. That's right. He looked great this spring. He knows what he's doing. I really do think that these years of not playing for Beck were crucial. I think he had to mature as a person and as a quarterback and he had to get his mind in such a place that being the starting quarterback at the University of Georgia wasn't as big a problem as reading defenses on Saturday. And I think you know what I mean there, right? There's so much that goes with it beyond the field. And I think he had to get right for that. And I think he's there. Max is letting us know that his wife is a UT grad. I need redemption for that Sugar Bowl. Amen, friend. Oh, gosh. There are so many reasons we could point to that game and say it shouldn't have gone the way it did. But I think that game taught Kirby and crew a lot of lessons that helped them get to where they are now about having players there that opt out and so on and so forth. So I think that was a big deal. I think there were lessons learned, and I think that was actually, in retrospect, a good thing that they took that loss. Oh, Max is in Texas. Great, man. That's awesome. I can't wait to get out to Austin and check that out. I hope that we can get out there and see a game. That's the plan. Oh, there you go. Emmett's letting us know he checked out those pictures on the draft picks, and that he's like, that's a big dude. There's no doubt about it. Harry's right. These guys can all move. They're not just big bodies. They can get out and run. And Emmett says, if you win the trenches battle, the majority of the game, you'll be able to control it more effectively. Absolutely. And these dudes are just massive. Harry's right. 1% humans. I love it. Maybe I should put that on a shirt. I don't know. Would you guys buy that? ADB, 1% humans. Is that right? Because it's like I say on my Patreon, right? If you didn't know, we have a Patreon. If you love what we're doing, all I want to do is give you guys the best content possible. So if you don't know about that, please go check it out. But we could do that. It's like I say over there. There's the damn good dog tier. There's the All-American tier, and then there's the you're either elite or you're not tier, right? 1% humans qualifies as elite, correct? Aren't we all elite? You're here as a member of Beast Nation. #Beast Nation. Thank you all for being here. It's great. Oh, hey, look, we had a friend drop in here who says, I'm a diehard FSU fan. Y'all are a fun team to watch, and I think y'all three-peat. That's right. He joins us in our hatred for the Florida Gators. Welcome in, Malik. I appreciate you dropping by, friend. That's awesome. That's awesome. And on the morrow, Harry's right. We got some other big commits headed that way. And Emmett's saying, hey, I'm from Wisconsin. All I hear is hate up here. It's more comical now. You know, Emmett, I have a friend who just moved back up to Wisconsin. He's not a Georgia Bulldog fan. He's a Wisconsin fan, and he roots for the Packers. But he doesn't throw me hate. He's supportive of the Dogs, and I appreciate that about him. I think that has a lot to do with why we get along so well. But we'll see. So yeah, I mean, that's what I had for this week's show, everybody. We're always working on stuff. So a reminder, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, because I don't want you guys to miss anything we're doing, because I put stuff on the community page all the time, and I'm always going to mirror what I'm posting on the other socials on the community page as well, to let you know what's happening with the Damn Beast Media. But we're also on TikTok and Facebook and Twitter. It's a Damn Beast Media on Instagram. Everywhere else, it's just at a Damn Beast. But over there, it's at a Damn Beast Media. So that's one of those things that's a little tricky. I wish it weren't that way, but that's how it is right now. So we've been in here. You guys hung in there with me through the technical difficulties and everything else. The thing, when I stop and think about Brock Bowers and the Great Wall of Georgia, I was like, I can't think of two better topics to discuss on a day following Independence Day, because there's a lot to celebrate here. I wanted to celebrate Brock. I wanted to celebrate the recruiting success that the Dogs are having and get us revved up and ready as we move into the 2023 season. I know I am very excited. I know that you all are too. And I appreciate you being here with me for this journey as we make our way down into the fall to check out what's going on. So, unless anybody has anything else, we can kind of bring this thing to an end here. But I just wanted to go on record as letting it be known that I think that what Brock Bowers is doing in Athens is truly special. And if anybody out there in the national interwebs sees this video and is unaware of exactly what Brock is doing at the University of Georgia, I hope this brings some education, some enlightenment to that position for you. And if you happen to be someone who has a vote for things like the Mackey Award or even the Heisman Trophy, I hope you'll take all this into consideration, because Brock is just a phenomenal player at the University of Georgia, the best tight end in the country, hands down. And I just can't wait to watch him play again. Thanks, Harry. I appreciate that, man. I try to have a good time. And I do apologize for the technical difficulties off the top. I can't believe that happened. If you're here in Georgia, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A couple of days, we have had some real boomers roll through. And I swear, when I was on that podcast with Michael over at the Air Raid Attack podcast, again, check it out if you haven't, the lights were flickering in the background. It looked like this place was haunted. Like, flicker, 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 you know. And I was like, I think my stream is good. I think we're good. But finally, huge bolt, like, you know, right outside the window, boom, off we go. Knocked us right off the air. And I was able to get back up and get back on the pod with him. But then today, when I was setting everything up to do this live stream, everything had just gone haywire. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. We had to reset a bunch of stuff. Thank goodness to tech support. Mrs. a Damn Beast, she was all over it. She was helping me sort it out. And I tell you what, I am one lucky dude when it comes to that. And we can talk about that. As a matter of fact, let me just ask that question. Especially the fellas, you know, that are here in the chat with us. Is your partner, significant other, wife, girlfriend, sister, mother, do they love the Dogs the way you do? Can they talk about Georgia football with you in a way that, you know, is an engaging conversation? Because I know that I am extremely lucky to have someone in my life who not only can talk the game with me, but I tell you, she's like, did you see this play? Did you notice what he did? She's breaking down the game tape with me. There are a lot of people who get on here and tell you they're grinding tape or whatever. Okay, great, man. Good on you. I'm hanging out and having a drink with my missus, and we're like enjoying breaking down the film. I'm just saying, I know I'm a lucky man, and I hope that you guys are too. I hope that you've got people in your lives that appreciate football and want to talk about it with you the way we do. Oh my goodness. Let's see what Harry has to say. He says, that rain came through about 1 o'clock. Yep. Knocked out the power. Oh, I'm telling you, we had some crazy stuff over here. And it wasn't one of those things where I was ever really concerned about, you know, tornadoes or anything, but it's that straight line wind and that lightning and heavy rain. RIP my backyard with the grass, man. It stays wet. You know, you knock it down with a rod mower, and then you're like, all right, we got to let it dry a little bit before I can take it down another level. So we'll get to that soon enough. I think you all know what I'm talking about. We'll do the yard work when we have to, right? So, all right, everybody. So again, let's see here. Max, thank you. I appreciate you, man. Oh, you're the first time in. Well, goodness, let's spotlight Max, everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that very much. I promise you, my only hope is to be worthy of your time, because you could be anywhere on a random Wednesday, and you chose to pop in here. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Jay, hey Jay, what's up? It's good to see you again, friend. Are you just popping in? I don't know. We can rehash anything if you've got a question about anything. But tonight, we were talking about, y'all filled Jay in. We had technical difficulties. Holy cow. But tonight, we were talking about Brock Bowers and the greatness of what Brock is, and the Great Wall of Georgia, and what the dogs are doing out there on the recruiting trail. It is just crazy to watch. I appreciate the support, man. I know there's a lot of other people doing a lot of other streams and stuff like that. But again, that's why I say make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified when we go live or when we drop a new video. I don't want you guys to miss anything. Because when I tell you that all I want to do is give you the best content I can, I absolutely mean that. And I really do appreciate you guys and your support. Really. It means the world. So if you have any questions, Jay, about anything, please drop them in the chat. If you don't, that's okay too, brother. It's fine. I'm just happy you popped in. Max, again, thank you for being here. If you haven't checked out the other videos, I hope you will. It was great chatting with you. So yeah, hang out here with us. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on a swivel, right? We'll look back at the last week. We'll look ahead to what's coming, and we'll try to keep our finger on the pulse of the Bulldogs here in the off season. There's a lot going on. I mentioned this last week. Media days are coming up. So we're going to be up there. We're going to take in media days in Nashville. Hopefully I can bring you guys some really cool stuff around that. We'll see what that's going to end up looking like ultimately. And again, as we head down through the summer and into the fall, we're going to be looking at having some interviews on here. Of course, scheduling will determine whether we can actually have them live or whether I'll do them ahead of time and get them on. But either way, that's something that I want to put out there and have you guys keep an eye on, because it's one of those things that if I can make it happen and if our partners can make it happen, that's something that I really enjoy doing. It gets me right back to my journalist roots, right? It lets me know that we can have a good conversation in real time and get you guys the answers that you want to questions that you might not get anywhere else. So I really do hope that that's the sort of thing that we can do. But again, that will come down to scheduling and things like that. So here's Jay. Let's see what Jay has to say. Definitely cut from a different cloth. I wouldn't think a guy's such a freak from seeing him. I'm telling you, the thing that Kirby has said is that 1, he's not going to be outworked, and 2, the moment is never too big for him. And 3, you can't get him to say anything when you interview him. And that's a fact. I mean, he's literally 1 or 2 word answers, you know, but I think that just says something about who he is. He's not about the talking. He's about the production. And the reason the moment is never too big for him is because of how hard he works, right? There's no reason to be nervous if you've done the work. All you have to do is show up and play free. And I think that's exactly what Brock is. Maximum effort. He's having a good time. I mean, what was it on that ESPN piece from the season? They said that they referred to him as Buddy Bow Bow, right? Like a golden retriever who just constantly wants to chase the ball all day. He just never runs out of energy. Can you imagine what that does in the depths of summer workouts? What that does when you're tired in the 3rd or 4th quarter? You know, you see that dude over there still bouncing around and keeping you up. How can you be tired, right? How are you going to let him outwork you? Stuff like that in the moment, I think, is invaluable. And I think we're nuts if we think that's not happening. I mean, I've played enough ball to know. And if you're here, you probably have too. It matters when you got somebody like that who's telling you to pick your head up, you know. So I'm just really fortunate to have Brock on our team. And he does seem like an absolutely regular guy. Absolutely. And we haven't even talked about the person Brock Bowers is, right? Like, we all saw the reports. I mean, I don't know. If you guys can think of one, let me know. But I can't think of a player today with a bigger NIL value than Brock Bowers on the Georgia Bulldogs football team. Yet, he, out of hand, said, you know what? I'm good. I don't need the NIL money, right? He's like, I don't need this because of what I've done on the field. I can do my own thing, right? So he said, University of Georgia, Classic City Collective, take that NIL money that you would have given to me, give it to other athletes across other sports, let everybody share in it. So he's not motivated by his own accolades and rewards. He's taking care of himself. He knows that. He and Brock Vandegrift went to Winder earlier this spring and had 500 kids out there. I mean, the income for that one football camp between those two dudes was more than some people make in an entire year. Okay? Brock's not a greedy dude. He's like, I'm fine. Give this money to some people who might not have the shine that I have, but work just as hard. I mean, y'all, I'm just thankful Brock Bowers is a Bulldog. That's what I'm telling you. The dude's awesome. I see Jay saying here he's going to send this link out. Jay, thank you, man. I appreciate that because that's what we want. We want Dog Nation in here. I want to hear from you guys, right? I want to talk about the things that you guys want to talk about because Lordy knows I can just keep it rolling. I am always going to have something to say about the dogs. I start with a topic every week, but I'm not restricted by that in any way. We can discuss anything you guys want to. Like, again, we are so fortunate that the dogs are doing what they're doing right now. There's plenty to discuss. So if there's something on your mind and y'all want to break it down, let me know. But yes, please, on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, if you do that. I have a good time over there. Share the videos around, right? Let people know. Share them with your friends. Man, I've caught some heat for some videos I've put over there too. Not, nothing too serious, but like the Father's Day video with Stetson in Tennessee, Lordy, that got some people's underwear in a bunch. If you didn't see it, look it up. You better call your daddy, Tennessee. So, man alive. And again, like I said, with the video here with Brock this week with Herschel, and we can dial that up again just in case, since Jay got here late. I don't know if you've seen this, Jay, but we can drop this in here real quick and let you check it out too, because this is one of those things where the minute I saw this video, this is what we're talking about. I'll drop this off here too, so we can see the screen better. But this is one of those things where when I saw this video of Brock, or when I saw him make this play, I had to do this video. I just had to. And I thought it looked really cool the way it ultimately shook out. So what we're going to do is bring this back. So here, Jay, in case you missed it, this one's for you, buddy.
Definition of a damn beast.
We're starting field position in the afternoon. Room service to Bowers. He may be gone. Freshman is off. Foot race. Go look at it. Shoe bottoms.
Just check out these numbers in his.
I love that audio. The way it fell together was just perfect. And again, that video is not to illustrate that I think Bowers is a better athlete than Herschel was. It's a different time. It's a different game. They're different players. I'm not saying that at all. But the way that play worked, when I saw it live, I was blown away. I immediately had images of Herschel against South Carolina. And I understand this was UAB. But the video itself, get rid of the rest of it. Just think of the video. I thought it looked beautiful. And I was really proud of that edit too. That was a fun little technique. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Did you see that? See, that's pretty good stuff right there. That's my boy right there. See, I'm saying we put good stuff out there. Tell your friends. I appreciate you guys being here for real. And again, if nobody has any other topics, we can break this thing on back. Actually, I'm going to jump back to this other scene right here because if we move through, I can just play it and we can check out some Brock highlights if you want to and mute the thing so you don't have to hear me talking about it. But if you just look at what's up, DGD Podcast, welcome in. We're just talking about Brock Bowers and the Great Wall of Georgia. That's what we're talking about tonight. We're coming up on the end here, but you guys let me know if you got questions. We'll hash it out. I'm all about it. But yeah, so just look at these highlights. Like when I saw this catch right here, that catch against Kentucky, and then this one, he didn't even see the ball until the last second. Are you kidding me? That is where my statement of Brock Bowers comes from. Right? I was like, oh my word. Look at this dude. Look at what he's doing. Watch this. Run over that defensive lineman right there. Are you kidding me? SEC championship game? Whatever. Stiff arm. Get you some. I mean, Brock is the man. Christy, welcome in. It's great to see you. It's fantastic you're here. I appreciate it. We're just checking out Brock Bowers. We're talking about Brock Bowers and this month of July, this recruiting season that we've got going on right now. It is incredible. I'm ready for the month of July. Woo! Christy, I'm so happy you're here. Jay jumping in, letting everybody know. I love to see that. You guys familiar with each other. See, that's what I'm saying about Dog Nation. We are all maniacs for this kind of stuff. But when I looked around on YouTube, I didn't really see a channel. Oh, I'm going to hit pause right here. We didn't even talk about this. Let's do this real quick. Let's talk about the fact. Oh, okay. Two things. Let me finish my thought. Sorry. So we're maniacs for this stuff. And I didn't see a place here on YouTube where people were just gathering together to talk dogs in a way that was, welcoming to everyone. There are some wonderful shows out there, but they're recruit focused or, is the pros doing their inside information and that sort of stuff. That's not what this is. I'm a professional journalist, but I'm here as a fan. Right? I'm here as a dog, a member of Dog Nation. And I wanted to create a spot where other members of Dog Nation who know each other can build a camaraderie. Get in here, let's mix it up a little bit and talk about the dogs. So please share it around, tell everybody. I'm so happy to see you guys in here. Some of the people that I know from other places jumping in here and talking dogs with us. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Thanks again. Jay, I see that's how Christy made her way over here. Fantastic. I love it. So, and for all our newcomers here, like I say, I don't expect you to come in here and just, drop a like or anything like that. But if you feel like I'm doing a good job, you're having fun, please hit that thumbs up button. Let me know, because that's how I know that I'm doing a good job for you guys. And I want you to enjoy your time here. So check and make sure you're subscribed if you're interested, because we would love to have you. So moving on from that, let's look over here. Let's look at this for a second. Brock Bowers is being considered by some people in the know, professional scouts at the NFL level. They're telling us that he may very well be the best tight end prospect in the history of the NFL draft. Okay? Everybody wants to mention Kyle Pitts from Florida because of his numbers and the way you could put him in different positions. We'll get to it in a second. You'll see the breakout for what Brock has done at UGA so far, where he lines up, what he's been able to do. There's no comparison. And Pitts did it over 3 seasons. Our boy Brock has 2 with 1 to go. So we are about to see what's going on right here. So let's look. Look at these numbers. Look at Bowers, 1842. Or was it 24? It may be 24. I may have flipped those numbers. 1824. So my bad right there. 1824 receiving yards over 2 seasons. 20 receiving touchdowns. 165 rushing yards and 4 more on the ground. Look at Mr. Pitts here, the Florida Gator. 3 seasons. 1492. 18 receiving touchdowns. It's not even close. It's not even close. And nobody's going to look at you with a straight face and tell you that Kyle Pitts is a blocker like Brock Bowers is. Nobody's going to look at you with a straight face and tell you that Kyle Pitts elevated his team the way Brock Bowers has. Yes, Kyle Pitts helped make Trask some money. No doubt. No doubt. He didn't help him win back-to-back national championships, though, did he? Nope. Was there a conference title in there? I don't think so. Yeah, there's no comparison. So to hear the professionals tell you, beat the drum, that Brock Bowers is the best tight end prospect in the history of the NFL draft. I don't know exactly what that means about whether or not he's the greatest tight end in college football history. I think you have to consider it, but I don't think, that it's an absolute slam dunk. But I'm just saying, appreciate Brock Bowers, everyone. So let's let this roll out here a little bit. And we're going to continue to look at these numbers for just a second. But the next slide that comes up is going to break it down for you, statistically speaking, where it is that I've got a window in the way here. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, here we go. It's going to break. Oh, let me jump out here. Okay, we've seen this bit. There's the first slide. Let's go to the next one. Here we go, right here. This is the one I wanted. An elite tight end prospect. Look at these numbers. 20 of 31 contested catches. 20 total receiving touchdowns in 2 seasons. 5 drops and 153 targets. Think for a second about a couple of those catches. Think about the touchdown at South Carolina last season. Think about the touchdown against TCU in the national championship game. Think about the 4th down reception against Florida. When the ball's in the air, 19's coming down with it. 1,000 yards after the catch, 1,001. 440 yards after contact. Remember that highlight earlier where he pancaked the Alabama defensive tackle on his way to the end zone? That's not Kyle Pitts. This is what an elite prospect looks like. It's undeniable, people. If anybody wants to come at you and tell you why Brock Bowers isn't what we say he is, send them the video. Send them the link to this. Let them know. This is crazy. Just crazy. Crazy that anybody would have that opinion. So look right here. Here's the line about the number of snaps and where he's played them. 20 times he's been lined up in the backfield, 633 times in line as a tight end, 631 in the slot, and then 169 flexed out wide. Kyle Pitts wasn't doing that. And just think about what we're going to see this year. What's the over-under on whether or not Brock throws a touchdown pass this season? What do you think? Half? 1.5? Come on now. He's a glitch. He's a cheat code. And he's a Georgia Bulldog. Can I get a go Dogs? Drop it in the comments if you agree. Go Dogs. How about them? That's what I'm saying about that. Let's see here. And here he is working. You probably saw this video too. This is Brock Bowers working last Friday morning. Right? Pushing that sled, leading the pack up the hill on the campus run. Look at that. Nobody's going to outwork 19. I think we know that. And he's like, how can I get better? How can I be better for my team in 2023? And in the spring, he flat out said it. I want to become better as a route runner and more dominant as a blocker. Good luck, college football. That's what I'm saying to that. 19 is something special. I mean, I'm trying to think of the players that I've witnessed just in the last couple of decades, that made me feel the way I feel when I watch Bowers. The thing that I loved about Brock, when we saw him against Vanderbilt in his freshman year, he had 3 touchdowns in that game. The minute he caught the ball, much like Gurley, much like Chubb, much like Michelle and Herschel Walker and the greats in Georgia history, the greats in terms of football, period. It was, what is the quickest way for me to get to the goal line? And then not being denied when he got there. That's the thing. He would get the ball in his hands, and the minute he gets it in his hands, he's worried about how can I get to the end zone the quickest. I'm trying to score every time I touch the ball. I'm not trying to get the first down or a few yards. I'm trying to take it to the house. I mean, look at what we got right here. Look at this. Look at this catch against Alabama. Look at that. 3 defenders. High point the ball, pulled it down. And here, a little move. Let me get to the house. He's not worried about running somebody over. He's worried about scoring. Contested catch after contested catch. Look at this. Look at that. I'm just saying. Look at this. Another one. We were talking about contested catches. Up over the dude, draped all over him. Touchdown. Brock Bowers is special, y'all. Let's not freeze it on my old face. And again, I'm not comparing him to Herschel. Not directly. But look, it makes me smile every time I see it. It looks so similar. And it was a whole lot of fun to do that video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's jump back in here and look at these chat. Man, this is awesome. You guys are living it up in the chat. I'm loving it. How about the chat, everybody? So do I think, Jason jumps in here, says, do I think he'll be a Heisman finalist? I think if Brock has the kind of season we all hope and believe he can have, he is absolutely worthy of consideration for an invite to New York. You're going to have to take somebody. If the Dogs are 12-0, Beck has thrown for 4,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, 20-plus touchdowns. I mean, I've never been a big proponent of the career numbers being rewarded with the Heisman Trophy. I think it's about the best player that year, the most outstanding player that season. I've already said on the stream and other places, I think going into the season, Brock Bowers is the best football player in the country. He's not a quarterback or a running back, but that doesn't mean he's not the best player. So, yeah, I think absolutely he could very well end up in New York with an invitation. And he might even win the thing if we allow ourselves to dream. Junkyard chimes in with a wonderful comment here. Frankenstein, that he literally, it's like you put him together. Like, he's got the wingspan, he's got the bunnies, you know, he can jump, 4 or 5 speed, hands. Holy cow. It's like he was built in a lab. There's no doubt about it. Scrolling through your comments here, checking them out, looking for something's going on. All right, so the DGD podcast, again, thanks for being here, y'all. It says, who are we most excited for in this freshman class? Woo, that's a big question, because earlier we were talking about the offensive line, and that was such a crucial need for this class. And Cyril's and Coach Smart and Fran Brown, those dudes, they are doing the work and bringing those guys in. But who am I personally most excited about? I'm a defensive guy at heart. There are a couple that aren't committed yet that might force me to rethink what I'm about to say, but you can only count what you know. I don't want to assume anything. With that said, I'm going to say Ellis Robinson. I was in school at the University of Georgia when Kirby Smart was there, when Bobo was there, when Champ Bailey was there. Ellis Robinson could end up being the number 1 cornerback prospect in the nation in this class. And given the way we know that Schumann, Muschamp, and Smart use their DBs, now that room is full, okay? There are bodies everywhere in Georgia's secondary. Players, every one of them. But Robinson could be what I hoped Keeley would be. Keeley was great. I'm not knocking on Keeley. But he was a little stiff. Champ was anything but. Robinson has a frame. I mean, what we can tell on tape in high school, you know, it is what it is. But he could be that sort of corner for Georgia. That's exciting to me, because if he is, the things I've said in those past videos about what that outside linebacker group looks like, what that defensive line looks like moving into the future, if Robinson is the kind of corner that I'm excited about thinking that he could be, it is Katie bar the door, friends. Look out. Look out. So I would go with Robinson right there. That's a great question. Thanks for that. Jay's dropping in another quality comment here. His numbers are amazing. One of the major reasons stat 3 for 33. Yeah. The yard after the catch thing, so underrated. We saw it in the highlights. South Carolina, right? Alabama, LSU. Just won't go down. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's like Kirby says.
Told him, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told him.
Christy giving Nick Chubb some love here in the chat. I appreciate that. Nick Chubb is a fantastic Bulldog. I'll just say that. Jay's pointing out that if you haven't been paying attention, it's been Georgia Day on the SEC Network, so you could jump over there and check out some beautiful dog highlights. My DVR has been running because I record the games in the season. But after a while, I just want to like freshen up my recordings. So when they do these, I will go in and re-record things I already have just to get a fresh recording. I don't know. Fresh is better, right? I'm going to go with that. Does anybody else do that, or is that just me? Just me. That's right. Last season in Athens, soak it in. Soak it in. Oh, Roquan Smith. Christy, I'm going to throw this on the screen right here because this deserves some attention. Roquan Smith. Y'all, I'm just saying. Roquan, it is amazing to me what has happened with the linebackers at the University of Georgia. Roquan jumped in there, showed up in June. That was a crazy recruitment. Showed up in June, became the dominant player he was. And I was like, man, what are we going to do? And then we heard about a kid named Nakobe Dean, who then stepped into those shoes and did it himself. And that linebacker room right now is full of absolute dogs, absolute players. And to watch those guys do what they do is just, it makes me so happy. I can't even tell you. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it right now, how happy it makes me to see what our linebackers are doing right now. But that brings me right back to the defensive line, right? I mean, you got to get those guys free so they can run, but those are some athletes, and they are doing the deal. Back-to-back visors in the house, y'all, everybody. How about them, he says. How about them back-to-back? I'm with you right there. You will never hear me not go, how about them? That's for sure. Still scrolling through here. Ellis is the best quarterback he's recruited. See, you caught what I was saying right there. Damon Wilson, DGD is chiming in right here. I had some stuff to say about Damon recently, and maybe you caught it. I don't know, so I will reiterate it right here. I see Damon's progression this year at the University of Georgia. I don't know if mirroring is the right word, but I think it's gonna remind us of what we saw with Trevon Walker. By the time we get down into November, I think Damon Wilson is gonna be that monster that nobody knows about on a national stage, and he's just gonna start wrecking things by the time we get to Ole Miss and Tennessee, where pass rush is gonna matter. I think Damon Wilson could be like one of the biggest splash sort of dudes when we get to the back half of this season. You say he's going to be a monster early. Yes, as a freshman, I completely agree. I don't know if he's going to have some huge impact the first month of the season maybe. I think he's going to figure it out as he goes. And I think by the time we get to the middle and the back half of the season, Damon Wilson is going to be something else. Going to be something else. Roquan was absolutely elite. Raylan Wilson's the fastest linebacker UG's ever had. I want to get some good numbers. And if I can pull them together, I'm going to do a video on it, and we might break it down on a live stream. Raylan Wilson is part of that group from last season that is just insane, right? You talk about the best position rooms in the country. Don't try to convince me anybody else in the country has a better position room than the Dogs do at linebacker. And Wilson is a huge part of that. He looks like a playmaker. Obviously, he can run. Man alive. I want to pull together the numbers on what all these dudes ran because most of them ran track, right? So I don't mean 40s. If I can only find the 40s, that would be fine. But if we could get those information about the dudes that did run track, where they're running 10-3, 10-4 hundreds and playing middle linebacker, pull that together and then do a roster comparison over the last, 4 or 5 seasons, 3 to 5 seasons, and just see this next couple of years in Athens. I think we're going to see the fastest defensive unit that we've seen under Kirby. And that should make all of us go, whoa, right? Look who we're talking about. Roquan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, all these dudes, Keely Ringo, all these guys that can flat go. I think as we move into the next 3-4 seasons, I think we're looking at a unit that will be that won't even be close, will be the fastest defensive unit in the country at every position. I mean, I think that I want to find those numbers. If I can do it, that will be a video I'll do. But if you know how to help me with that, please hit me up on socials. Send it to me on Twitter or, Facebook, wherever you are, because if we can get some solid numbers, the idea of that just makes me salivate as a defensive dude. Because we know they're going to arrive with a bad attitude. We know they're going to know where to be. And then when you put that kind of athleticism around that sort of discipline, holy cow, friends. I would love to be able to just read it off and look at it. That's insane. That is insane. Y'all getting me all kinds of fired up. It's just July. Me too. Me too, Visor. Me too. 23 on the catapult. Okay, see, now that right there is immeasurable. So again, if you guys come up with some information, and I don't know if you may have done this on a podcast already. If you have, please let me crib your notes or something, because that's the sort of, in-depth sort of thing that a football head like myself and people who appreciate the game like you guys do, that's the kind of stuff we want to know, man. That next level information. That's what we want. At least that's what I want this channel to be about. So Christy says, do you think Bobo will run the ball? Yes, he will. He will. But the thing that I trust in with Mike is that whatever his talent base is, that's what he's going to use. So again, all you have to do is look at 2013, 2014 when he had Gurley and Chubb and Michelle and those dudes. They ran the ball. Why? Because their best players were running backs. That's why. And if you've got dudes like Brock Bowers and Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky, Dominic Levitt and Ladd McConkey and Rosemary Jack Saint and, shall I go on? You've got those dudes. You're going to get the ball to those dudes. They're still going to run the ball. That's part of who they are. That's part of who Georgia is. But I absolutely have faith that they're going to put the ball in the hands of their playmakers. And I also, as I said earlier in the stream, I think they can avoid the A.J. Green factor where you feel like you have to force it. So if they can pull off that balancing act, I think this offense is going to be insane. Insane. Yeah, see, DGD's on it right here. He's going to get the ball to the best player's hands. Absolutely. But it comes back to that forcing it point. If you force it, it's counterproductive. So they have to watch that part. And it's tempting. Wilson is extremely fast. Here you go. I started to mention Mpemba earlier. Mpemba is a dude that he is an absolute unit. And when he figures it out, because he's very raw, when he figures it out, holy cow, friends. Holy cow. That's what I'll say about that. See here, Jay, I appreciate this comment so much. There's been so much banter about what Alabama's going to be this year, and y'all know if you follow me at all, my running joke this entire spring has been, ask me next week who's going to win the West, because I go back and forth. One week it's LSU, the next week it's Alabama. And because I give Saban credit for using what he has and rejigging his offense to make it work with the talent that he has. And if that means they have to run the ball more, they will. But Jay hits the nail right on the head here. I just posted this in a video last week about the defensive All-Americans, where I pointed out nobody runs the ball on Georgia. Over the last 3 seasons, the Dogs are allowing less than 80 yards per game rushing the football. If you can't run it against Georgia, your ass is getting beat. Okay? I know that's a football rule, but for Georgia and the way they do it in that mint defense, you are losing. So it's one of those things where Alabama's Alabama. I have great respect for Alabama. Absolutely I do. But if you think you're going to line up and pound it 30 times against Georgia, you're going to take the L. That's all there is to it. That is all there is to it. Sorry, Jay. Sorry, friend. Oh, my goodness. Max still with us. Thank you, Max. I want to see Branson Robinson. Me too. Nobody was more bummed that he got dinged up in spring and we didn't get to see him in the spring game. That young man, and Branson, he follows me on a couple of things. If you see this, Branson, I'm just telling you, dude, get well soon. We can't wait to see you play because Branson, I mean, I know it's so easy to say he looks just like Nick Chubb, right? But doesn't he? Rolling out there all rocked up, still got the speed to make it to the edge, not going to let one dude bring him down. I mean, I think it's disrespectful to Branson to say Nick Chubb-like because we don't know exactly what Branson is yet. But, man, I can't wait to see. I think Branson's going to be a phenomenal dog. I really do. And DGD's got it right here. Couldn't run, couldn't hit the deep shots because they knew we were coming. That's why when people ask me point blank period, is Tennessee going to beat Georgia this year? I'm like, nope. I don't see how. The ball is shaped funny. It takes funny bounces. I'll grant you that. But without elite quarterback play, without a running game, Tennessee's not going to beat Georgia. They don't have the talent down the roster. They don't have the depth. And if you are one-dimensional against Georgia, as Tennessee was last year, it's a long day. So, unless Tennessee proves to us that they can do that, they can run the ball. And no, I don't think Joe Milton is elite. I don't care how far you can throw the ball. Who does? Is there a more irrelevant factor in quarterback play than how far you can throw the ball? I don't think so. I want you to be a quarterback. I want you to be a passer. I'm not trying to get you to throw the ball over the moon. What good does that do you? None. Just today I was looking at the video of Stetson Bennett and his, whatever it was, 60-yard touchdown pass to Ladd McConkey against Auburn a couple of years ago. That ball was like 57, 58 yards in the air. Stetson's got plenty of an arm. He hung it out there. Ladd went and got it, touchdown. He didn't have to throw it 70. Who cares if you can throw it 70? Every play is not Cordell Stewart at the end of the game against Michigan. Nobody cares. Can you read the field? Can you anticipate a throw and put it in a window? That's what makes you a good quarterback. And if you don't have a run game, a threat of a run game against Georgia, you're not going to have time to figure that out anyway. So no, the Dogs will beat Tennessee on Rocky Top this year unless they show us something that we haven't seen yet. And they could, but I haven't seen it yet. How's that for soapbox, friends? Yazid Haynes. Just remember I said it. He looks good. He looks good on the hoof. He looks good on the hoof. And he says all the right things about hard work and so on. Man, that wide receiver room is deep. We are blessed, Bulldog friends. Christy, I think this sums it up. This is probably a pretty good place to finish it. I cannot wait for football. Me either. And I cannot wait to be back and talk to you guys again next week. We got started late because of some technical difficulties. I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with me, following us along. Jay, thank you for sharing out the thread, the live stream. Please, if you can do that, please do it. Share the videos around, share the live stream, invite a friend back, tell them this is where good dogs go to talk Georgia football on Wednesday nights. I think we're going to settle on 7 p.m. moving forward. So put it on your calendar, mark us in there. That's what it's going to be. 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. We're going to talk Georgia football every week here on The Swivel. So I'm Randy. This is a Damn Beast Media. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Please check out the description below the video. Look at all the other stuff we got going on. If it interests you, please do whatever you like. Check us out, though, because we're doing the very best we can for you. And the more that you help us support and grow this channel, the more that we will do for you in the future. Thanks again for being here. I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. And as Kirby always says,
Told them, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that.
And I'll leave you with that, friends. Have a great week. I'll talk to you again next Wednesday night and on the YouTubes. Y'all take care.